This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Wednesday, July 12th, 2023. I'm Alex Brown. The Indiana State Medical Association and Purdue University are looking for ways for physicians to connect their patients with resources to help with social drivers of health, such as income, access to healthy food, and housing, in order to improve health outcomes. The ISMA's Dr. Genevieve Lankowitz.
We do have several validated screening tools which ask patients coming in for visits about what might be impacting their health. Medical care impacts health just a fraction of what living conditions and social factors do.
The ISMA is currently developing an app and web-based tool set to launch this fall to help healthcare providers create those connections. Columbus-based Cummins CEO Jennifer Rumsey will take over as board chair when Tom Linebarger retires at the end of the month. Linebarger will step down July 31st, and Rumsey will step into the position on August 1st while still retaining her position as CEO. Linebarger's retirement brings to a close 31 years of involvement with the manufacturer. He joined the company in 1993 and retired as CEO in August 2022. Cameron Memorial Community Hospital and Trine University officials broke ground yesterday on a $10 million nursing education center. The Cameron Education and Innovation Center in Angola will feature a 32,000 square foot facility with multiple classrooms, simulation rooms, offices, and a 10-bed skills lab. Leaders of the project say they hope the new center, expected to open in November or December 2024, can help strengthen the nursing pipeline as the profession projects shortages over the next 10 years. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
For 25 years, we've had the honor of telling the story of Indiana business. More than 1,300 shows, 8,000 interviews. We've traveled from Valparaiso to Versailles, Fort Wayne to Fort Branch, and everywhere in between. And we are just getting started. Our team is passionate about Indiana business because your story is worth telling. Join us every week as we travel the state to bring you Indiana's story. Inside Indiana Business, 25 years and counting.
Indiana's statewide testing scores stagnated this year as students faced an uneven academic recovery, with gains in math proficiency and declines in English. IIB's Kate Sharon has more.
About 30.6% of students in grades 3 through 8 statewide scored proficient or better in both the English and math sections of the iLearn state test, only a fraction of a percentage point above the 30.2% last year. Even though overall math scores rose 1.2 percentage points over the last year, English scores dropped half a percentage point despite a statewide effort to boost literacy. In 2023, 40.7% of students were proficient in English, and 40.9% were proficient in math. Reading proficiency rates have dropped back to 2021 levels after gains in 2022, with several student groups showing a percentage point decline this year. Overall scores still remain far below pre-pandemic levels. In 2019, around 30% of students scored proficient in English and math. Around 48% of students scored proficient in at least one of the sections. The Indiana Department of Education acknowledged in a presentation to the State Board of Education that more targeted support is needed in English, especially for English learner students and middle schoolers. Kate Sharon, Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Renovations at the University of Southern Indiana will give nursing and related healthcare students an edge with new technology and a state-of-the-art laboratory. The Health Professions Center, where the university's College of Nursing and Health Professions resides, is getting an $18.5 million facelift, including a new radiology suite, clinical simulation center, anatomy lab, student lounge area, and a teaching kitchen and food science lab for the food and nutrition program. The dental clinic will also be remodeled and expanded. South Bend, like many cities that have ridden the waves of industrial change, has a housing problem, and city leaders this year are seeking creative ways to close the gap. A series of recently proposed projects, some still seeking funding, promise to bring hundreds of housing units to the area, specifically for low-income residents, while also transforming long-neglected parts of the city. South Bend Executive Director of Community Investment, Caleb Bauer.
The hope is that, as you get some of that momentum, you can see some rising property values for neighbors. Certainly, we don't want to see them really spiking, but we want to see a gradual rise that could get us to the point that we're seeing market activity without any need for subsidy. That's the ultimate goal.
The recent push was boosted earlier this year by the award of several tax incentives for new housing. A proposal to force Hammond gas stations to close overnight drew backlash during Monday's City Council meeting. Lakeshore Public Radio's Michael Gallenberger has details.
Mayor Tom McDermott Jr.'s proposal would require gas stations to close between midnight and 5 a.m. It comes after a shooting last month left one person dead. McDermott says 195 violent crimes have been reported at gas stations overnight since 2019.
I realize there's business interests involved. I get that. But there's also people that are losing their lives involved as well, and they don't get to come here and petition whether or not they think the gas station should have stayed open later. I bet you the young man that lost his life recently would have wished it closed 2 hours earlier.
But the proposed ordinance would also allow gas stations to apply for an exception from the city's Board of Works. McDermott expects those near interstate highways may be allowed to remain open, while those closer to the Illinois state line may have to close. Gas station owners and residents worried that the proposed ordinance would have some unintended consequences, like break-ins at unoccupied stations. Some also felt it would disproportionately impact minority and immigrant residents. Speedway District Manager Jason Ingram says more than 20,000 transactions took place overnight at its 4 Hammond stations in June, bringing in more than $400,000 in revenue.
If we were to close between this time, that would lose 750 hours of our employees that are all residents of Hammond and cost them $9,375.
Meanwhile, Maureen Frank has worked as a cab and rideshare driver.
In the middle of the night, sometimes you need to stop and get gas. And sometimes if you felt like you were going to get followed, you would pull into a gas station. Because it was a safe haven, because there's people there. You could call for help if you needed help with the police or something.
Others felt it was unfair to force gas stations to close, while other businesses may stay open. Mayor McDermott admitted that gas stations aren't the biggest source of crime, but unlike bars, there's something the city can regulate. Still, the ordinance may see some changes, like specific criteria to determine which stations may remain open, and help for employees to find another job before the ordinance takes effect. Council member Katrina Alexander says she wants to see more data about where exactly the crime is happening before making a final decision.
It's delicate for multiple reasons. It's delicate because we had a death in the city, but we also have crime all throughout the city, and I understand public safety is definitely important.
Council members plan to continue discussing the proposal with gas station owners on July 20th and 24th. A final vote could come during the July 24th regular meeting. For Lakeshore News, I'm Michael Gallenberger.
IU women's basketball coach Terry Morin is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports and entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.